Those latest reactions to Iran's latest nuclear move. I'm going to bring in Mr. Jason Unruhe. He's a political commentator who comes to you via Skype out of Ontario. Jason, it's good to see you. Tell me what you think.
I think this is complete and utter nonsense. This is an outright lie. The United States and the rest of the parties have no business saying that Iran is somehow sabotaging the negotiations by doing what it is that they said that they were going to do. I mean, the straight up fact remains the United States, particularly Biden, the U.S. president, said that once he took over, there would be a new JCPOA. They would return to the nuclear deal, and everything would be back to where it was before the election of Donald Trump. Unfortunately, Biden has done the opposite. He has not returned to it as he said he was going to. One of the main contentious issues about this was the unilateral U.S. withdrawal based on completely fabricated evidence, and then proceeded to put new sanctions on Iran in complete violation of the deal and possibly international law as well. When Biden came back to office, he said he was going to remove those new sanctions and then return to the deal. Well, this is not what's happened. In fact, the United States has kept those sanctions on Iran and then demanded Iran make even more concessions on top of it. Frankly, this shows the two-faced nature of the United States. They say that they are going to abide by rule and law, even when it's their own law that they made up themselves by placing sanctions on a country for daring to produce nuclear power. In fact, it was even, I believe it was the foreign minister of the UK who said that Iran had absolutely no civilian need for uranium. Well, except for the fact of nuclear power, and nuclear power being one of the best options to combat climate change, another problem that these imperialist countries are completely looking the other way on. So I think that this is a complete lie by the United States. It's a complete lie by those inside of the actual agreement, because they're the ones sabotaging this day and night by not doing the very thing they said that they were going to do. So this is the part and parcel of what we have seen by them so far. And all they're really doing is just pointing a finger at Iran and blaming them for not giving in to new concessions that these countries are insisting upon.
Jason, one more thing. We have this upcoming round of the nuclear talks in Vienna. I believe it's the 7th round. The question is announcing what Iran will do. What kind of a leverage do you think it is going to give the Iranian side in the upcoming negotiations that to many perhaps may be the last one?
Well, I think that it might send somewhat of a message that they are serious, that Iran is serious, that they will go ahead and produce if the nuclear agreement is not returned to. The fact is, it is the United States and the other parties who are being belligerent at this. Since the departure of Donald Trump from the White House, it sent a bit of a message saying that they will go further and develop more greater enriched uranium, but they have no intention of actually building a nuclear bomb, as the Ayatollah said. It is such a weapon is anti-Islamic because it's a non-discriminating weapon causing mass death, etc. So I really wonder exactly how serious they're going to take it, knowing that Iran isn't going to build the bomb, but is going to continue to refine uranium to that point. It's high time that the United Nations or some international regulatory body stepped in and started making the United States do what it is that it's supposed to do. But I think Iran is holding on the best that it can, and this new enrichment will definitely send the message that they are serious.
One more thing, perhaps, it's also interesting to see the reactions that are coming from the European countries as well, themselves being parties and having commitments towards Iran as based on the JCPOA itself. How do you see them in play here?
I think that the European signatories to the deal are just as big a pack of liars as the United States are. When the United States withdrew, they had contractual obligations to make compensation to Iran for the loss of what it was that the United States unilaterally pulling out. As we saw, they very half-heartedly even attempted. Some countries didn't make an attempt at all. But we are seeing, as I said previously with the UK foreign minister, they're blaming Iran for what the United States is doing. And certainly, in my opinion, the European signatories simply cannot be trusted. They have already shown that they're not going to live up to their agreements, and they have already shown that they are going to lie to the international community in order to demonize Iran for not simply bowing to the United States as if it were some kind of superior being, let's say. So I think that the Europeans have no right, no moral high ground on this situation at all.
Good. Jason Unruhe, political commentator out of Ontario. It was good to talk to you. You have a good night.